Two large storms are coming that will cause significant problems. If you're planning travel over the next few days, stay with me because what's developing will affect millions. In about 12 minutes, I'll reveal which areas face the highest risk. But first, something surprising most forecasters aren't discussing. A series of storms is forming in the northern United States, leading to a rare December heat wave, powerful winter storms, major flooding, and severe weather. What makes this unusual is the timing. We're seeing a pattern more typical of March than mid-December. As temperatures surge northward, a sharp clash between warm and cold air will set up across the northern United States, creating a prime environment for a powerful winter storm coast to coast. Heavy snow, strong winds, and poor road conditions could make travel dangerous. Farther south, that surge of warmth will pull unseasonably moist air northward, increasing instability across the Ohio Valley and Dixie Alley, opening the door for a low-end severe weather setup with potential for spin-up tornadoes. At the same time, the jet stream is flattening out, allowing a strong atmospheric river to lock in over the Pacific Northwest. Prolonged heavy rain at lower elevations combined with significant mountain snow will elevate flooding concerns. I'll explain why this atmospheric river is particularly concerning in just a moment. Let me explain the weather pattern driving this over the next 7 days, because once you understand the mechanism, everything else makes sense. It all revolves around our jet stream. Think of the jet stream as a river flowing through the upper atmosphere. Right now, we have a big dip forming over the Pacific Northwest. This storm system is currently impacting Washington and Oregon with heavy snow blizzard conditions and heavy rain leading to river flooding. That flooding will worsen over the next couple of days. But here's where the chain reaction begins. As we go into Thursday and Friday, a large storm will form in the northern plains, bringing heavy snowfall that could lead to blizzard conditions, severe weather, much warmer weather for parts of the country, and another shot of Arctic air in the northern tier. On top of this, very high winds across the northern plains and Midwest. Wait until you see the wind speeds I'll show you in a few minutes. As we go into Friday and Saturday, that jet stream dip will move across the Ohio Valley. A strong cold front will push across the mid-Atlantic on Friday. Temperatures will drop behind this storm, but briefly, because as we go into the weekend, our jet stream flattens again. It becomes very zonal, which means continued moisture from the Pacific, dumping more rain along the west coast, possibly including areas further south in California. Keep an eye on that next weekend. Eventually, as we go into early next week, right before Christmas, things get a bit more uncertain. But Christmas could be very interesting when it comes to our temperatures, because we could see a huge rise in our jet stream across the central and southern U.S., which may lead to what we call torch conditions. I'll explain what that means for your Christmas plans later in this forecast. Now let me walk through what's happening day by day. We'll begin with today, and here's where things get serious. It is a complete mess over in the Pacific Northwest. We have snow, rain, high winds. Basically, an entire monster storm system has formed, causing flooding and blizzard conditions in the higher elevations. Major travel impacts are expected, especially in higher elevations throughout today. As we go to late tonight, this low-pressure system is going to make its way across the northern Rockies. It's going to be a very intense storm system. Here's something that might surprise you. If you are somebody that gets headaches because of pressure drops, that is going to be a very common occurrence tomorrow in the Midwest and the northern plains. Why? Because our pressure is going to go from around 1,020 millibars in areas like Michigan and Wisconsin down to around 980 millibars late Thursday. That's a pressure drop of 40 millibars in just 24 hours. This is going to be a pretty intense low-pressure system. The biggest story with this storm as it makes its way past the Rockies on Thursday is the threat of heavy snowfall and maybe even blizzard conditions in far northern Minnesota and North Dakota on Thursday. Any remaining snow on the ground could also cause blizzard, like conditions from how high the winds are going to be across parts of the Midwest, including Iowa, and even over in South Dakota and Wisconsin. But that's not all, and here's where it gets interesting for areas farther south. We even have a threat of strong to severe storms on Thursday over in the Ohio Valley. The biggest concern will be a line of thunderstorms that'll produce the threat of damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. It should remain an isolated risk, but I would also not rule out an isolated tornado somewhere in that line. If a tornado were to happen, it would be very weak. It's not a very favorable environment for tornadoes, generally speaking. But we will have thunderstorms out there from Ohio back into Tennessee throughout the daytime on Thursday. Snow will continue as we go into Thursday evening over in Wisconsin and Minnesota. If you're in Minneapolis, if you're over in Wausau, those are areas that could see some light snowfall, but we're not expecting much accumulation out of that. Then Friday, we are going to be talking about a very big mess across New England, with plenty of moderate to heavy rainfall across all of New England throughout the late morning and early afternoon on Friday, then a little bit of snow on the backside of that. While all that's happening, and this is important if you have family in the Pacific Northwest, we're going to have another intense shot of heavy rain and snow in the Pacific Northwest Thursday night into early Friday. This is going to cause even more problems when it comes to flooding and also landslides. Once we go into late Friday and Saturday, the remnants of that storm system will make their way into southern Canada in areas like Saskatchewan, where light snow is on the table. Eventually, by the weekend and early next week, we will continue to have a very active weather pattern in the Pacific Northwest. East of the Rockies, it's going to be fairly quiet. We don't have any big storm systems on the horizon right before Christmas. Now here's where things get uncertain, and I want to be transparent with you about what we know and what we don't know yet. This is a preview to what's going to happen on Christmas Day. Again, this is where things get a bit more uncertain. The GFS model has been showing at least some signs of some wintry weather in areas like the Northeast or even the upper Midwest. This is something to keep an eye on, but again, we don't really know if this is going to happen quite yet. The other thing would be over on the West Coast in areas like California and Nevada, where we could have a storm system that could bring some heavy rainfall. Generally speaking right now, Christmas is a little uncertain what's going to happen, but the temperature trend is very interesting. Let me show you the specifics. Now, with these storms that are upcoming, let me talk about the details you need to know for your specific area. I want to begin with the snowfall potential over in the northern plains. Generally speaking, this is not going to be a major winter storm, but if you're in North Dakota, Minnesota, or northern Wisconsin, a widespread coating to upwards of 6 to 7 inches of snow is on the table. With that said, we're going to have very high winds throughout the day Thursday. Blizzard conditions are definitely on the table, even with this relatively small amount of snowfall. Here's a specific recommendation. If you're one of those people that has an inflatable snowman in your yard, you want to make sure that that thing is tied down, because as we go into late tonight into early Thursday, we are expecting extremely high winds all across the central and northern plains. Now let me show you the wind forecast, and these numbers might surprise you. A widespread swath of 40 to 70 mile-per-hour winds is expected across the Dakotas, Minnesota, and Nebraska. To put that in perspective, 70 mile-per-hour winds are equivalent to a Category 1 hurricane. It will continue Thursday afternoon across Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, even into Oklahoma and Arkansas, where we aren't really expecting much in the way of showers or thunderstorms. Then, late Thursday night into early Friday, those winds will continue to remain pretty strong across the Great Lakes region, where wind gusts will still be around 25 to 45 miles per hour. In terms of total rainfall accumulation across the Pacific Northwest, and these numbers are significant. This is between now all the way through Friday night, which is honestly not that long of a time frame since we will continue to see even more rain and snow beyond this weekend. But if you are anywhere in Washington or Oregon, especially in the western half of the state, that is where a widespread 3 to 7 inches of rain is still expected. The higher elevations are going to continue to see much more rain and also snow. Here's what concerns me most about this situation. We'll be watching for the possibility of even upwards of a foot of rainfall over in western Oregon. Mudslides as well as major flooding in rivers will continue to be on the table. If you have any friends or family up here, please make sure that they are aware of this situation. Now I want to address something that some of you have been asking about. I have some news about Christmas that might disappoint some of you. If you are hoping for a really nice cold Christmas, that is not happening. We are expecting a very warm pattern to settle in across the United States, a very high likelihood of above average temperatures anytime between the 22nd to the 26th, which is only about a week from now. We are expecting pretty warm conditions to make their way into the United States. Right now, we have above average temperatures dominating most of the country, but we will see a shot of Arctic air as we go into late Thursday and Friday across the Midwest Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes. But notice how fast that's going to move out. It's only going to be there for about 24 hours. Then by Saturday and Sunday, warm air returns. By early next week is when we are just going to see a bunch of warm air build all across the United States. It's going to get hot for this time of the year. We are talking about the threat of record-breaking high temperatures across areas like the Midwest, the Central and Southern Plains. So get ready. You do not need a winter jacket around Christmas. It looks like for most of you it is going to be torch conditions in the United States. This is an early preview to what the temperatures could be on Christmas Eve, which is again still about a week from now. So things could change a little bit, but right now we are forecasting a very warm Christmas. Let me give you some specific numbers. Areas just south of Chicago could see temperatures in the 60s and 70s. We could be 70 degrees on Christmas Eve in St. Louis, but Chicago might only be 40 degrees. This represents a big flip of the switch in terms of the winter weather that we've seen between now and the last few weeks. Let me give you specific action items based on your location. Pacific Northwest, particularly Washington and Oregon. Your immediate concern is ongoing flooding and mountain snow. River flooding will worsen over the next couple of days. If you're in flood-prone areas, have an evacuation plan ready. Avoid mountain pass travel where blizzard conditions are occurring. Northern Plains, North Dakota, Minnesota, northern Wisconsin. Thursday is your critical day. Use Wednesday to prepare. Secure outdoor items before high winds arrive. Expect blizzard conditions. Thursday, even with modest snowfall because of extremely high winds, travel will be hazardous. Thursday afternoon and evening. If you must travel, do it early Thursday. Broader Midwest, including Iowa, Wisconsin, South Dakota. Great Lakes. Very high winds are your main concern. Wednesday night into Thursday. Wind gusts of 40 to 70 miles per hour are expected, which can cause power outages. Be prepared with flashlights and alternative heating sources. Ohio Valley. From Ohio to Tennessee. Thursday afternoon into evening, be weather aware. A line of thunderstorms will produce damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. Tornado threat is low, but not zero. Have multiple ways to receive weather warnings. New England. Friday is your day. Expect moderate to heavy rainfall late morning and early afternoon. Plan for slower Friday morning commute. Some light snow may occur on the backside across interior areas. Looking at the extended outlook, the Pacific Northwest remains in an active pattern through the weekend and into early next week. East of the Rockies will be fairly quiet heading into Christmas. The big story for Christmas week is the warm pattern. If you are hoping for a white Christmas or cold conditions, adjust your expectations. There is uncertainty about whether storm systems will develop around Christmas. Some models suggest possible wintry weather in the Northeast or upper Midwest. Others show potential for a West Coast storm affecting California and Nevada. These details will become clearer as we get closer. Here's what you need to remember from today's forecast. Pacific Northwest faces ongoing flooding through the weekend. Thursday is critical for the northern plains and Midwest with high winds and winter weather. Ohio Valley watches for severe weather Thursday afternoon. New England gets heavy rain Friday. Everyone should prepare for a very warm Christmas week with possible record-breaking temperatures. Stay weather aware and make smart travel decisions over the next few days.